This week's movie is Noah. Noah is a film by Darren Aronofsky based very loosely on the tale of Noah's Ark. Quick disclaimer, I'm reviewing Darren Aronofsky's movie, not the source material, not how it relates to the source material, just the movie that's in theaters right now. Okay, so Noah stars Russell Crowe as Noah, the grandson of Methuselah, who is a man who is given dreams by the creator, and the dreams he has to interpret for himself to decide what they really mean. He comes to realize that God is going to destroy the world and wash away the wicked, and he must save the innocent, i.e., the animals, and thus decides to build the ark. Um, Russell Crowe is pretty good in the film, and he's largely sympathetic for most of it. But there is a point towards the end of the movie where he interprets one of his dreams in such a way that he begins to do actions and prepare actions that you simply cannot sympathize with. And at that point, I had such an emotional break from the character that it knocked me completely out of the film, and I never got back in. Um, your villain, your shadow character, is a the king of the wicked humans, a guy by the name of, I believe his name is Tubor Cain. He is, of course, a descendant of Cain, and he is the king of the wicked evil people who need to be washed away. Basically, he's a might makes right kind of guy who believes that if he can take it, he deserves it, and so forth. Interestingly enough, he does try on his own to communicate with the creator in this film and get instructions from him and simply fails. It's interesting to see that he tries. You wouldn't expect that from a villain of this type in a movie of this type. The idea that he would actually try to make that connection. But he's still a douchebag anyway. He's pretty much going to do what he wants to do. Um, where Ray Winstone is actually fairly good in the part. Most of the actors are good in this movie. The mentor character, such as it is Anthony Hopkins as Methuselah. He is a hermit who lives in a mountain by himself, and he's not much of a mentor. Basically, he tells Noah that everything he needs to know was provided in his dreams, and then Noah goes back, examines his dreams, and then interprets them. And the dreams are fairly vague. I mean, the one about the flood is pretty freaking clear, but everything else, every other dream he has, is pretty vague, and the conclusions that he reaches won't even be the same conclusions that you reach watching the same dream on screen. Um, so he's not that much of a mentor, although he does help out two of the female characters. He helps out Jennifer Connelly as Noah's wife, and he helps out Emma Watson as Noah's. She's somewhere between his adopted daughter and his daughter-in-law. Yeah, it's like that. And his allies are his wife and kids. The only real standout is Jennifer Connelly as Noah's wife. She's pretty good in the role. She's pretty strong, stands up to him. The enemies are all the wicked people who need to be washed away. None of them really stand out other than Ray Winstone at their head. Um, Also, as allies, you have the fallen angels who mistakenly helped Cain survive when he ran away from, after killing Abel and all of that. And the fallen angels are weird in this movie. We'll get to that in a minute. Um, the upside of this movie is it's relatively well acted. It moves at a good clip. It looks pretty good. It's fairly well shot. Some of the editing is a little weird, but it's good. The downside of the movie is that it feels a lot like an attempt to make a Lord of the Rings movie out of the Bible. The fallen angels, they're weird. They're these big stone giants that look and feel like an abortive design for the Ents from Lord of the Rings. They even sound almost exactly like the Ents, and it's kind of weird to see that in this movie. Also, the film has a fairly strong vegetarian propaganda. They're literally all of the people who are good don't eat meat, and all of the people who are evil, they all eat meat, and they eat it ravenously, and they eat it loud, and they eat it while it's still living, and it's gross, and That's actually like straight up propaganda. That was blatant and silly. Um, uh, Also, the major downside of this movie for me is the last act when Noah interprets that one dream to mean he has to do things that are actually quite reprehensible, and his blind obedience to, it's not even the word of the creator, it's his interpretation of a dream. And his interpretation of that dream makes him ready to do something that is just takes you out of any kind of compassion for him at all. And the movie expects you to forgive him at the end, and I couldn't. And that was a fatal blow to the movie. In the end, I have to give the movie 3 stars because it is good, but it isn't great. It isn't a grand epic. Cecil B. DeMille does not have to worry. This is just an okay movie, and that's all. 3 stars for Noah.